right, mediumship number 105, energy healing. That is the subject of today's video. As always, please like the video, click subscribe below, and keep watching. So this is something that I do believe in now. I didn't always, but I believe in it because I've experienced it. And I want to say right at the top of this video that if you have any reason to pursue energy healing, that you also pursue traditional medicine. On a very personal note, my mom got cancer. She only did New Agey energy healing type stuff. It was quite effective, but she didn't do traditional medicine until it was too late. And she died a really gruesome, awful death. So, and I'm a medium and I'm still aware of her. Actually, I'm aware of her right now, but it's a super subtle awareness. It's not the same thing as hearing my mom's voice or feeling her kiss me, my cheek. So there's that. And just like, for example, if you do have cancer, many people do both chemotherapy and radiation. They don't just do one of those, they do both. And I feel the same way about energy healing. Like, why not pursue all avenues to well-being? In the case of cancer, chemotherapy, radiation, and energy healing, or whatever the combination of stuff is. So, and also the same way that people, for example, who have cancer do chemo and radiation and they die anyway, energy healing also doesn't always work. But the fact that something doesn't always work, I don't think invalidates it, because hundreds of thousands of people every year, if not millions, do traditional stuff and energy stuff, and they do get better. So there's that. I have met, not surprisingly, I know several people who do some kind of energy healing, most of them a form of Reiki. Some people I can tell, are very sincere about what they're doing, but I haven't felt anything. I haven't felt like anything was happening. But I also know a few people who I definitely actually felt physical sensations. So one friend, for example, she was doing Reiki. This is one of the first times I ever felt a real thing. She was doing Reiki on me, and I went like that to grab the table. I was laying down on a massage table because I felt like I was slipping sideways off the table. Another time she was working on me, and it felt like warm fluid was filling me up from my feet, up my ankles, up my shins, all the way up my body, but starting at my feet. And I could actually feel it, like it was pouring into me, which is wild. I was at like a psychic fair type thing, and they had 15-minute sessions with Reiki masters. And so I lay on this woman's table, and they were really clear before the whole thing started that no one will touch you. It's not a laying on hands thing. There's no reason to be touched. They were really clear about that. And so I'm laying on this table. I've got my eyes closed, and I could feel her hands on my side. And I didn't care, and I knew that English was not her first language, and I didn't want her to get in trouble. So I opened my eyes to say, I don't think we're supposed to touch. And she was behind me with her eyes closed, with her hands just above my forehead, and there was nobody there, but I could feel a pair of hands on my ribs. That was really cool. So there's that. One of the most interesting experiences I ever had with a healer, I guess you'd call him an energy healer. I was in a health food store, and right in the entrance there was a massage chair, and this massage therapist, for like $20, you could do 10 or 15 minutes of a chair massage, and I had a crick in my neck. So I gave him the money. I sat down. I put my face in the thing, and this guy starts working on my back, and his hands were hotter than an oven. They were so hot, and I turned around and I smiled at him and I said, "You're a healer." And he went like this. I don't know, like I had caught him doing something wrong. And I laughed and I said, "Well, your hands are on fire, so you're definitely some kind of healer." And again, he went, "Okay," like he was in trouble. So he worked on, he barely just started to work on my back, and everything relaxed, and it was amazing. So I went back the next weekend, the next 2 weekends, and then in between, like on weekdays, and then on the third weekend, I never saw this guy again. I should have exchanged information or engaged him in more conversation, because it was wild how hot his hands were and how quickly I got better. So that was really cool. So that was really neat. I have talked about the Reiki mediumship connection. There definitely is one. So I was only certified to do level 1 Reiki long before I knew anything about mediumship. And then I became a practicing medium, and my husband injured his knee really badly. We weren't sure if we should go to urgent care or not. And so all day long, on and off, I was doing Reiki on his knee. And then for the next day and a half, my mediumship readings were amazing, like off the charts amazing. And I thought, well, there's a connection. That's probably not coincidence, right? So I went back to the place where I'd been certified to do Reiki 1, and I got certified for Reiki 2. I was there all day long doing Reiki on and off with various symbols. And when it came at the end of the day, toward the end of the day, when we were doing the attunement, we're sitting there, our eyes are closed. And as soon as I closed my eyes, there was a friend of mine who had recently passed, super vivid. And it made me jerk my head back. And in my head, I said, this is Reiki, not mediumship. Like, glad to see you, but what are you doing here? And he went like that. And I turned around, and there were my parents, my grandparents, a bunch of relatives and friends who had passed, more vivid than I have ever experienced them before or since, like vividly there. So there's definitely either a Reiki mediumship connection or an energy healing, whatever your energy healing is, mediumship connection. I believe the Arthur Findlay College, where people go to learn mediumship in England, that they do both, like they do sessions of both mediumship and energy healing, which is just, from what I've seen, I believe it was there. Again, people didn't touch, they just put their hands above someone's head who was sitting in a chair while they were standing behind them. So there's that. And then I want to talk a little bit about Charlie Goldsmith, because when I started looking into energy healing, all of his stuff came up. He's the Australian guy. He kind of closes his eyes and they flutter. It looks ridiculous. It looks scammy, but mediumship can be scammy, right? I tend to attract clients who are skeptics and or people who have been scammed, where someone looked them up on the internet. So I checked him out, and he's for sure the real deal. Checked him out really thoroughly. And what's interesting about Charlie Goldsmith is he says that he's just putting his attention on a person or on a specific body part, and it's not. He's not putting attention on the illness or injury, and he's also not putting attention trying to make it better. He's just giving his attention to that specific thing. And he says that the energy is intelligent. It knows what to do. So I've actually had some success with this. And it's only been friends or relatives of friends so far that I've tried this with. We're just putting what I would call extreme attention. And what I do, this just felt natural to me, is in my head when I've worked on someone in this way, it's like I'm singing into them. I'm listening to a foreign song that I don't understand the lyrics to, and I'm singing that in them, and it's like their whole body becomes a Bluetooth speaker, and that music is coming out of them. And then eventually they start to sing in my head. They start to sing back to me. And that's when I know it feels like things are really working. And those have also been the most efficacious sessions that I've done with people, when in my head, like some part of their body or themselves, they start singing the song back to me or singing in unison with me, all in my head. So I also, this is so weird, I also often, that's always the same every time, and then everything else is a little different every time. Often it feels like water is falling into them. I'll see that in my head, or light is falling into them. One time it was geometric shapes falling into this woman's head. She got better. And then also often it's like tubes are coming down from somewhere, and one is not connected right to their body. And so I'll either tighten it or I'll hook it back up. This is all happening in my head, and they get better. It's really weird. But like mediumship, you just have to let it happen as it happens. Like let each instance be whatever it is. So there's that. But I've actually had several really good successes. And people get better, like with Charlie Goldsmith. They've either gotten better in 5 or 10 minutes or not at all. So I think that's really interesting. I think it's important to say, whether you're doing Reiki or anything else, any kind of energy healing, that it is coming through you, not from you. I think you can. So I was into this when I was a kid, playing with this with my mom, and because her back and neck often hurt, and I would have it come from me, and that was tiring. That's a finite amount. But when it comes through you, that's sort of an infinite amount of energy or healing that can come through you. So what it's like for me is it's coming from way up above me, like whether you call that outer space or another dimension or heaven or whatever, it's way up above me. And it often feels, I know things are working because it feels like it's being pulled through me to the client. And I'm a straw or a pipe, but it's literally this pulling through me feeling that's constantly replenished from way, way up above. So there's that. So with that in mind, it just occurred to me one day, I was in conflict with someone at work. It was kind of annoying. And whenever I've been in conflict with someone in an argument or a disagreement or an outright fight, it's always felt like they're taking pieces out of me. And that sort of occurred to me, and I thought, ooh, what if they took it through me? And so ever since that moment, I started doing it in that moment where I thought, I'm just going to let them pull through me instead of taking from me. And that, first of all, resolves disagreements really quickly. They get tired or they go away really fast, or it can go on for however long they need, and it doesn't affect me emotionally. It doesn't feel like pieces are being taken out of me. It feels like they're pulling through me. It's really been kind of a life-changing thing, approaching emotional situations, difficult emotional situations that way. Just remembering to relax and let that energy come through me instead of from me. So that's cool. So energy healing is a thing. It's a real thing, but I'm going to repeat again what I said at the beginning, which is why not pursue all avenues to well-being? Both the physical stuff, say, chemo or radiation or whatever it is, as well as energy healing. And think of this, you wouldn't not eat. You wouldn't do energy replenishment or healing instead of eating, right? Because this is a physical world and you have a physical body. So I really believe in approaching both sides where you're doing the energy stuff and taking care of the physical, because this is a physical world. So I think, and then there's definitely the connection with mediumship for sure. So those are my thoughts on this subject. Thank you for watching as always. If you like this, click the subscribe button and see you next time.